Malik Youssef Bay back with another one. And today, like I said, we gonna go over the Treaty of Tripoli, and I'm gonna go over some Supreme Court case laws, and I'm gonna go into the books as well, show you how it all tie in. But before all that, you know how everything starts. Face the east. Allah is the Father of the universe. Allah is the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector and my guide and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Assalamu alaikum. Islam, Islam, Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings or against the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their car and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. Assalamu alaikum. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. Hold on. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend on for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all of these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement, will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world would not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Noble Drew Ali. Assalamu alaikum. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is instruction from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Assalamu alaikum. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now won, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. Assalamu alaikum. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. And they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you had the spirit of Allah, and the spirit of, if you had the true love of Allah, and the spirit of your forefathers. You fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your profit. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against the divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. All right. Now, like I was saying, what we gonna go in today, I'm gonna flip the camera and show you the documents that we gonna read over today. The document that I'm gonna touch on today, oh, excuse me, hold on. Cover over the phone. All right, here you go. This is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Now, this name right here, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it is the longest running treaty in worldwide history. But notice where it says Tripoli at the top. The parties that are involved in this treaty is with the United States Corporation and with the whole Moorish Empire. So when we say Moorish Empire, we're not just talking about Morocco. We're talking about we're talking about Tripoli. We're talking about Tunis. We're talking about Algiers. We're talking about Asia. We're talking about Hindustan, which is now called India, and every other part of the world. They're all a part of the Moorish Empire. And this treaty is the longest standing with them. They had to make a treaty not just with Morocco. Morocco was the first one because Morocco is the motherland. It is the mother and father of the civilization. Those Moroccan Moors, those Moabites, are the ones that founded the Moorish Empire. Those Moorish Americans, as the U.S. corporation told you in their documents, as I showed you. All right, so this was the first one, was 1787. It was presented the same, 1787 it was ratified. It was presented in 1777. The second one was this one, 1796. This one came right after the Sundry Free Moors Act went before the Supreme Court in 1791, in 1790. 1 year before the U.S. Constitution was ratified. So when it's saying the Constitution in Article 6 of that Constitution in the Supremacy Clause, when it was saying all treaties that was previously made and shall be made under their authority shall be valid against the United States. Why should it be valid against something if they made it? How are they going to make something against them if they made it? No, it was another party that made it and gave them that constitution as the sanctioning document. This is the Moorish sanctioning documents, the treaty. Then you get the Constitution. That's for the corporation of the United States. Any of their agents, any of their officials that work for the U.S. corporation that is considered a U.S. citizen, they are they are obligated to that Constitution, the organic. All right, so we're going to go into the articles. Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States of America and the who? And the Bay. Letting you know, this is not something that Noble Gerard Lee made up. That's not no titles that the Prophet Noble Gerard Lee made up. He went and recovered these. And subjects of Tripoli of Barbary. So when you hear the name Barbary, know that's over here. When they're saying Tartaria and when they're saying Tartar and Barber, those Berber Moors, Barbary nations is over here. The west, the Tartar will be the east. Tartaria. Made by the free consent of both parties. Letting you know, nobody was forced into this. This was an agreement. That's why it's called the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And guaranteed by the most potent, what title is that? Day and the Regency of Algiers. See, all the Moors, these titles of El, Bey, Day, Al, and Ali, all are Moorish family names. Those are titles of nobility. So when they're talking about the black nobility, no, it's the Moorish nobility. That's what Moor means. And man means. This is why those Europeans, the hybrid Europeans that got passed down this knowledge, a lot of them are referred to as Moor men, because they come from Moorish men. They are Moorish sons, or Muslim sons, as they refer to in their Masonic lodges. But when you think of the name Masonic, Ma and son, that is Moorish science. Can't make it simple enough. Human creation and human conduction. Article 2. If any goods belonging to any nation, not any color, but any nation, with which either of the parties at war shall be loaded on board of vessels belonging to another party, they shall pass free. No attempt shall be made to detain them. So when they're talking about this right here, because maritime law, when you're dealing with the laws of the sea, or what they call the military, that is Moorish law. Maritime, we ran the land and the 7 seas. Think I'm lying? Go look up the definition of land in the law book and tell me it don't say Moor. Then in that same law book, go look up the definition of Moor and see what a Moor is according to law. Okay. So when they're saying vessels, that's not necessarily dealing with ships neither. That's dealing with body. Your body is a vessel. So they're also talking about the laws of the sea, but they're talking about the laws of the land. Neither should the ships that we can pass without being detained, as well as our bodies. This is what the jurisdiction difference is when Moors are dealing with the highwaymen. And the people can't understand, as we keep posting the video of the brother showing you that they have no jurisdiction over Moors. Why? Because this is where it comes from. If any citizen, subject, or effects is property belonging to either party shall be found on board a prize vessel taken from an enemy by the other party, such citizen or subject shall be set at liberty. Why? Because this treaty and the effects, the rights and the property restored to the owners. See, this is why they can't violate Moors the way they do quote unquote black people. Because when you say black, which is an adjective, which is not a person, place, thing, or idea, you're figments of somebody's imagination. This is why they can do anything to you and no rebuttal is made. You can't even go up there and redress these people in grievance form, which is the Bill of Rights, the first Bill of Rights. And no religious test shall ever be made. So it doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, or what they say, Muslim, or Judas, or Buddhist, or whatever. It doesn't matter, because that is not your bloodline. If all men have a bloodline, regardless of what they believe in. And then when people say those are your beliefs, when we say Moorish American, those your beliefs. Do you believe you're alive, or do you know you're alive? See, they don't even know. They holiday are into these religions, and all religions represent the same things. The 3 candlesticks in all religions represent the 3 degrees, which is belief, which is for babies, neophyte, baby, the matrix, neo. The second one is belief is what people think the truth is. Faith is what people know the truth is. That is scholarly. And then you have fruition, which is master, Adam, Morris, Morpheus. It's morphing into something, Morpheus. So Morpheus was the master, right? And how did Morpheus look? Asiatic, right? The Asiatic Moor had to teach the European hybrid how the secret knowledge, because he was still asleep. He would have never woke up if it wasn't for the Moor. But man knows not about being told. That's why he couldn't give him the full answers. He had to let him figure it out himself. He just gave him the keys. See, this is why in the Masonic lodges, the Moors are known as the bearers of the light bearers, and the keepers of the light are referred to as the European sons. They call themselves the keepers of the light, but the bearers of the light are these Moorish Americans and Moors around the world. These people that are melanated. All right. And Mexicans are Moors too. So stop calling them immigrants. And this is how you know people don't know simple geographics. If Mexico is in Central America, that makes them American. How is a hybrid European going to tell an American they're not welcome in America? And then y'all keep saying, well, they talking about the United States. Nobody can live in the United States because it's a business. Do you see people live in Walmart? Do you see people live in McDonald's? No, they go home, right? Okay. Article 3. If any citizen or subject belonging to either party shall on board a prize vessel taken from an enemy by other party, such citizen or subject shall be set at liberty and the effects restored to the owners. Because of that, nationality. Didn't say black people or white people. It's telling you who it's dealing with. Moors. Okay. Article 4. Proper passports, which is nationality cards. And this is where you see them making the people today get those passports. They're making you get something that you don't need in your own land. The only people that needed the passport was the people that was passing through this land from another homeland. You're in your homeland. This is why they can't deport you, as I read in the King Alfred plan. You will be a formidable enemy, for you are bound to the continent by heritage. Proper passports are to be given to all vessels of both parties. This is why Moors have nationality cards and people who are U.S. citizens have those state IDs, which are not real people IDs. Those are for corporate people only. So if you're not a corporate official, you don't need that. You need your nationality card because you're a national of your land by which they are to be known. See what I'm saying? And considering the distance between the two countries, telling you the jurisdiction. There is no distance between the two countries because you're dealing with a corporation within a country. And that's what the two countries, they consider the U.S., that corporation, a country in their mind. So we let them have that game. But there's a distinction with jurisdiction to let you know that we are the nationals of this land. And by us letting you come here to set up your 13 colonies, this is what you have to abide by. So the distance is dealing with the jurisdictions. So you could be standing right beside each other, talking face to face. But just because you claim Moorish American and they are a U.S. citizen or whatever they want to claim, they're not American. So the distinct jurisdiction is made. 18 months, 1 + 8 is 9, dealing with the science, months from the date of this treaty shall be allowed for procuring such passports. During the interval, the other papers belonging to such vessels shall be sufficient for their protection. Now you see why we have our judicial proclamation and our name status correction papers along with our nationality card. They're telling you this way back in the 1700s. So when you see Moors doing this stuff, oh, y'all get their paper, the terrorist papers, or Moors just think they can. No, this was written in stone and on paper. Okay, keep going. Article 5, a citizen or subject of either party having brought a vessel condemned by the other party or any other nation, the certificate of condemnation and bill of sale shall be a sufficient passport for such vessel for 1 year, this being a reasonable time for her to procure a proper passport. So when they was being brought over here, because they didn't bring Asiatics over here, the Moors brought the hybrid Europeans to America. Think I'm lying? Go look it up. The late 1800s, from 1850s or 1860s, really 1870s, when they went through the Naturalization Act, which is where the green card come from. Go look it up in the law book. The Naturalization Act's telling you who was dealing with the hybrid Europeans. When they came to all of these foreign lands, mainly America, when you could go look at the movie, shout out to the master teacher, Silda Duke. Go look at the movie, as I posted a picture before. Go look at the movie, the movie Godfather, the second one. When he was a little boy, when he first came to America. Look at all those pale-faced immigrants that came here to what island? Morris Tider, Ellis Island. They was indentured servants. Vessels, Article 6, vessels of either party put into the ports of the other and having need of provision and other supplies. This is where the treaties come in effect, because they can't deny Moors this, they're in control of the empire right now because we fell out of power. So by them being in power, long as we know who we are as Moors, we're entitled. This is why they keep calling you black people, to keep you from that entitlement. They shall be furnished at the marketplace if any such vessel shall put in from a disaster at sea, maritime, and have occasion to repair, reparations shall be set at liberty to land and water, land and sea, maritime, and re-embark her cargo without paying any duties. This is not just dealing with a ship. This is dealing with you. But in no case shall be compelled to land her cargo. So this is why Moors can go anywhere we want and not be obligated to pay taxes, not be obligated to pay anything, because we're nationals of the land. We're the original people. Article 7. Should a vessel of either party be cast on the shore of the other, which means if we fall under the jurisdiction of either party, either or, all proper assistance shall be given to her and her people. Why is dealing with her? Mother, ma, and son. No pillage shall be allowed. See, this is why they don't want you claiming your Moorish American nationality, because if we band together with our Mexican and the rest of our Southern American family, we can remove the colonization from this land as one people. Now you understand why the prophet said in the national divine warning, you're all one national people bearing one national name, which is Moorish Americans. That's not just applied to the dark-skinned Asia. That's any nation on the continent of America. They are Moorish Americans. They all belong, as the prophet told you in chapter 45. And the crew protected and secured till they can be sent to their country. Now you see why the deportation comes from? But why they can't deport you if you come from Africa? Because you come from the Africa here, which was once connected to that Africa over there with Atlantis in the middle. Once Atlantis sunk, it separated what they now call America and what they now call Africa. It was all called a Mexum. Can't be more simple. If a vessel of either party shall be attacked by an enemy within a gunshot, which means in a footstep of each other, of the forts of the other, she shall be defended as much as possible. See, this is why, as we keep telling you, when they deal with Moors, the jurisdiction change, because they're not supposed to violate Moors. They're supposed to protect Moors. But they made this game, this Inquisition game, the Spanish Inquisition, followed by the secret treaty of Verona, followed by the Ramon Pontifex, followed by the Dum Diversis, followed by the doctrine of discovery, and so on, where they're trying to undermine the people and steal their land, kill them off and steal their lands. But the people have cowered out so much. This is why you don't see the wars being fought in America like they once were, that we read about in school. There wasn't no Indian wars. There wasn't European or pale faces, as they called them back then, versus Indians. Those was pale faces versus Moorish Americans. They only start calling you Indian once you start converting to their way of life, because Indian means thus without God, or those without God. So when you gave up your divine creed and nationality, which is where the 3/5 clause come from, mind, body, soul, nationality, divine creed, they script you, as the prophet told you, you were stripped of your Moorish nationality and divine creed, your true religion, which is Islamism, the oldest religion on the planet. Not the Islam that is practiced today by these Sunni Muslims. I'm talking about the true science of Islam, human creation and human conduction. Coming from the wound of the mother. That's Allah. All life, all breath. She's the giver of all life and all breath. And it says, ports shall be not seized or attacked when it is the power of the other party to protect her. And when she proceeds to sea, maritime, dealing with land and the sea, no enemy shall be allowed to pursue her from the same port within 24 hours after her departure. See what I'm saying? So they can't lay a finger on Moors once you proclaim nationality, which is why they keep paying all these sellouts, or let me reframe that, giving all of these detriments, what they think is trinkets or what they think is payment, because nobody's been paid since 1933 when they start taking our gold and silver. And the people keep forgetting that they're taking our gold and silver. This is why no matter how long you work or how much hard you go, you got to keep doing what? Chasing the bag. And what I always say, if you keep chasing that bag, you're going to be in that bag. Because the bag is in front of you. The bag is over your head. You got to remove it. The bag is Negro, black, and colored. The bag is Indian and Native American. The bag is African American. Remove it. You can't breathe. Article 9. The commerce, which is the business, which is what that banner that y'all keep talking about is the United States flag. It's not a flag. It's a banner of amity and commerce between the United States and Tripoli. This is where that banner comes from. And the 7 stripes that's in it is the nations that are doing business with the Moorish Empire. The commerce between the United States and Tripoli, the protection to be given to merchants, masters of vessels, of body, and seamen, the reciprocal right of establishing consuls. Now you see why they closed down consular court, not council, but consular courts. This is what the AA 222141 represents on our nationality card in our diplomatic papers. We are diplomat. We're not foreign diplomats. We're national diplomats in each country. This is why the prophet, honest to him, assalamu alaikum, said, you are part and parcel of the said government and must take your place amongst the affairs, which is a set of circumstances amongst men. Telling you what you have to do, and the people still don't want to listen. They waiting on these people who usurped your land to do it. The privileges, which is civil rights, the immunities, and jurisdictions to be enjoyed by such consuls are declared to be on the same footing with those of the most favored nations respectfully. What is the most favored nation? Morocco, because that is the mother nation of the Moorish Empire, which is here, which is why we're suffering the most. That's why the first nation to recognize them. And where are they at? Where's the United States? And where? North America. As I keep telling you, when you look on any map, what's the only place on the map that doesn't have a nation state? North America. Because the nation state that they keep hiding is Morocco. Okay. The money, which is dealing with gold and silver in this time, and presents demanded by the Bey, El Bey Ali of Tripoli, as a full see, they had to pay tribute to these Moors. This is where the term blackmail come from, because they had to play mail, going to get my mail, they had to pay mail to the Moors. So when they're talking about blackmail, when they're doing something, they're being forced into something, that comes from Moors. The blackmail, black meaning pale, right? So the pale people had to pay mail to the Moors. That's where the term blackmail, because they're the true black people. Black, pale, albino, shining, to become white. The black and white gang that was started by Carl Linnaeus and Frederick Johann Blumenbach, which were hybrid Europeans, was to cause discord for this, to this. That's why they created in the 1700s. That's why the shout out to the master teacher, Taj Tariq Bey, who always say law and history go together. If you follow the Moorish Empire, the things that we done, even out of the fall of power, they all line up with them trying to counter us. Even in the times of Noble Drew Ali, this is why the prophet didn't come to play. The first thing he said was what? Come all ye Asiatics, know about your nationality and birthrights, and know that you are not Negro, black, and colored. That doesn't sound religious. That sounds civics to me. That sounds lawful to me. And then he says, all right, the money and the presents demanded by the Bey of Tripoli as a full satisfactory consideration on his part and the part of his subjects for this treaty, a perpetual peace and friendship are acknowledged and been received by him previous to the signing the same. See, they had to pay before he even signed. They had to pay according to the receipts which is hereto annexed, except such part as in promised on the part of the United States to be delivered and paid by who? By them on arrival of their consul to Tripoli. So they had to pay the Moors, on which part a note is likewise hereunto annexed, which is this treaty. The note is this treaty, and no pretense of any periodical tribute or further payment is ever to be made by either party. See what I'm saying? We gave them finance to help them get started in their colonies, but in turn, by us helping them get started, they had to pay tribute to the Moors. This is where the term taxes come from, because when they got in power, the Romans got in power, they called it taxes. It was no longer tariffs or blackmail. It was taxes, which is Roman, which means, yeah, a Roman tax. That's where tithing comes from. This is why the church and the state are never separate, because the tithing, which is the taxes, comes from the people being dumbed down. This is why we say go read the Spanish Inquisition and the secret treaty of Verona, when they want you to be in complete obedience and docile. Okay, my favorite one. This is the reason why I did this, to show these people live and direct. This is what Obama read, but he didn't read the first sentence. He read the one after that, because I guess he didn't want to be killed. But Moors are going to read it. Article 11. As the government of the United States, whereof America is not in any sense founded on what? The Christian religion. Why is that such important? Because when they start getting you to convert to Christianity, stripping you of your nationality and divine creed, you fell out of power. You became Negro, black, and colored. Now you're under servitude in your own land. What Martin Luther King, 32nd degree Mason, revealed at the end of his life, the last few days of his life. And this is why they tried to hit him in the temple, but they hit him in the neck, which is a Masonic ritual, Hiram Abiff. They hit 3 times, head, neck, chest. As the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, not legals, not legalese, but the laws, religion, or tranquility of Muslim. This is where you get the term Muslim, muscles, tissue, flesh, blood, activated by the electrical charges of a man's phallus in a woman's womb. And you are a fetus because before you come to what you are, those 3 and 4, 5 months that you're in there, you are what your mother is developing. So you come from her. That's why everything is dealing with her age, heritage, her age, ongoing through her age, ongoing. Okay. And as the said states, never have entered into any war or act of hostility against any Mohammedan nation. Mohammedan means Moorish or mountaintop. It's not just dealing with Prophet Muhammad. This is where Prophet Muhammad got his name from, that understanding of Mohammedanism. Mountaintop, that great seal pyramid on the back of the $1 bill, which belongs to the Moorish Empire, representing all humanity, the founders of humanity, going back to Egypt or Hikupta, which is the Hammatites, the pharaohs, the ruling nation, the father nation of the Moorish Empire. Okay. It all goes hand in hand if you just study. And it says, it is declared by the parties that no pretext arising from religious opinions. Now you see where that first Bill of Rights come from? No religious test shall ever be made, because it doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, Judas, or Buddhist, shall ever produce an interruption of the harmony existing between the two countries. So why is there so much debate between all of these so-called religions? Because the religion doesn't matter. It's dogmata. The bloodline. What is your bloodline? You being a Christian don't mean crap to me. Me being a Muslim shouldn't mean crap to you. We're Moors. That's all that matters. Article 12, 12 signs zodiac. In any case of any dispute arising from a violation, now you see the jurisdiction of Moors. Now you see why in their venues, why they deal with Moors last. Of any of the articles of this treaty, no appeal shall be made to arms, nor shall war be declared on any pretext wherever. But if the consul residing at the palace where the dispute shall happen shall not be able to settle the same with an amicable reference shall be made to the mutual friendship of the parties, the days of Algiers, and the parties hereby engaging to abide by his decision. And he, by virtue of his signature to the treaty, engages for himself and successors to declare the justice of the case according to the true interpretation of the treaty, and to all the means in his power to enforce the observation of the same. See what I'm saying? Now you see why they don't want you enforcing the Constitution in these treaties, because it sets the standard. It automatically shows who is who. They're not the rulers of this land. We are. But as long as our people keep claiming Negro, black, and colored, you can't get reparations, those repairs they was talking about, and you cannot stop the abuse. Because as long as you're a figment of somebody's nation, you don't matter. So when they're saying Black Lives Matter, they're saying Pale Lives Matter. This is why Ye wore the White Lives Matter. The white status belongs to us, because that checkerboard that Moors created, even the paper of black and white, is showing you good and evil. This is why the paper, which is the main part, the pure part, is white. The words on it are black. Spell, they cast spells. So the mightiest sword on the planet is the tongue, because what you say can be manifested. This is why they got you using black magic, using that spell of the caste system, casting a spell, got you under the term of Negro, black, and colored, which means death. This is why you wear black to a funeral, death. This is why when something die or decompose, it turns black. And then when it fully decomposes, it has those pale hairs on it. Black means pale. I'm going to touch on some stuff in the book. Matter of fact, before I even go into the book, I'm going to touch on some Supreme Court cases. And I'm going to show y'all, when dealing with these highwaymen and or any of these other officials of the U.S. corporation, this is what they have to abide by. And this is 13 Supreme Court cases. In law, it's called stare decisis, things that you can look at, or things that was already decided, things that you can look at that was decided. Stare decisis. All right. It says, Section 1, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, which is the Supremacy Clause, and in such inferior courts, such as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme Court and inferior court shall hold their offices during good behavior, which we know they don't have that, and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation. At times receive a compensation. They receiving it every time, right? They do everything but try to get money out of you, or finance out of you, or in law fiat out of you, because it's all debt, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. So we're going to go into the case laws. Number 1. Hold on, let me find the page. Here we go. Number 1. The right to travel. Notice they didn't say drive. So there's a difference between driving and traveling. Driving is when you're doing a paid business. Uber driver, taxi driver, bus driver, truck driver. You're doing a service that you're getting paid for. That's driving. That's when you need a license. The right to travel, which you're doing every day, whether on foot, on bike, or on the bus, or in the car. The right to mode of conveyance, the right of locomotion are all absolute rights, and the police cannot make void the exercise of rights. So they can't pull you over giving you tickets, but they can only give their property tickets, Rome's property, that are Negro, black, and colored under the Christian Black Codes and Negro Act, when you gave up your nationality and divine creed. That's State versus Armstead, 60S 778, 779, and 781. That's what you could go look up, and it's going to give you the case laws. And notice, no matter how many years go by, these case laws are always withstanding. They're always withstanding. This is why they don't want you standing for Constitution or real law. This is why it says Supreme Court law cases, nothing legal, law. The use of highways for the purpose of travel. No, again, notice they're not saying driving. Of travel and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right, of which the public and natural beings, this is where you get national from, the natural people of the land, cannot be rightfully deprived. Chicago motor coach versus Chicago 337, Illinois 200, 169, Northeast 22, ARL, Lagarde versus Chicago 139, Illinois 46, 28, HE 934, Boone versus Clark 241, Southwest 607, 25 AM, Jur 1 Highway Section 163. And you can find this document on RV Bay Publication under the tab that say, Do You Know Your Rights? rvbaypublications.com on Google. And it says, number 3, the right to park or travel, there's that word, is part of the liberty of which the natural person, citizens, cannot be deprived without due process of law under the 5th Amendment of the United States Constitution. So why when they pull you over, they don't pull out a constitution and show what you violated? They start talking about you violated some legal code, statute, or ordinance, right? Okay, that's not law. But as long as you're outside of law, you're a lawful person, you're in propria persona person, which is your natural person, your national identity. They can do what they want to you. And this one is Kent versus Duelist or Duels 357 US 116 125. The right of a citizen to travel upon the public highways and transport one's property thereon, either by carriage or automobile, is not a mere privilege, but which a city may prohibit a permit at will. You see what I'm saying? Which may prohibit or permit at will. This is why you don't need a license to travel. You don't need a permit to travel, but a common right, which he or she has under the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Isn't that in the Constitution? All men are created free. Thompson versus Smith 154 Southeast 579. State police power extends only to immediate threats to public safety, health, welfare, etc. Michigan versus Duke. So them pulling you over, asking you for a license or an ID, they have no right to do that. Them walking up to you while you're just walking or sitting, oh, where are you going? What are you doing out here? I need to see your, no, you don't. And this is why you go straight to the Supreme Court laws. This is why Malik keep paperwork with me, because I don't have time to argue. I show them the fraud, that they're fraud. The state police powers, excuse me, the state police powers extends only to immediate threats to public safety, health, welfare, etc. Michigan versus Duke 266 US 476 LED at 449, which driving and speeding are not. See? So when you're traveling and you're speeding, The police have no right to interfere, but you as a person should use common sense and know that you shouldn't be speeding like that, risking your life and other people's life. And this is California versus Farley, CED registration 8920 CA, which is California, 3D 1032 1971. So these laws are not old. I mean, they're not new, and they still are in effect. The state is prohibited. The state, corporate state is prohibited from violating substantive rights. Hold on. I'm going to show y'all something. What does that say? Right there at the top. This is my nationality card. Allodial, which means freehold, free from any servitude. Substantive birthrights. So they have no jurisdiction over free Moors. And you think this is something that Moors keep saying when everybody knows that. And it says substantive rights. Owens vs. City 445 US 662 1980. And it can not do by one power, e.g. or i.e. police power, that which is, for an example, prohibited expressly to any other such power, taxation, eminent domain, as a matter of law, which means they don't have jurisdiction. They can't tax you or write you a speeding ticket demanding finance, because that's not what they're put out there for. U.S. and UT versus Daniel 22P159, nor indirectly, which is prohibited to it directly. Fairbanks versus US 181, US 283 294 300. Traveling in an automobile on the public road was not a threat to the public safety or health and constituted no hazard to the public. And such a traveler owed nothing more than due care. So this is why I was saying that you know better than be like just flying down the road. You got to care about yourself and other people. See, no regards to tort or for negligence. See, to the public, and the owner owed no other duty to the public state. He and she and his and her auto having equal rights, which is that's your property, to and on the roadways and highways as horses and wagons, etc. The same right is still substantive rule, which means supreme, mean God-given, can't be taken away. And that speeding, running, stop signs, traveling without license plates or registration are not threats to public safety and thus are not arrestable offenses. So why are you ending up in court with tickets and all of that then? Because you are not an improper person. This is why they need you to be Negro, black, and colored. Christie versus Elliott 216 I 13174 HE 1035 LRA NS 1905 through 1910 California versus Farley 98 CD RPT 8920 California 3D 1032 1971. See, a lot of these Supreme Courts was founded on the same day and the same because they was tired. They was tired of dealing with the same stuff. Like, wait a minute. Y'all are trying to usurp people's rights through the Buck Act. Go read that document on the same website, RV Bay Publications, or you can Google it, the Buck Act. And that tab is the Forgotten Strolls. And it says, under the United States Republic, nothing about democracy. So all these people talking about Democrats, they're fraud. And even these people talking about Republican, They're fraud because even Republican and Democrat belong to the Democratic Party. They playing that game with you because the real republic is when all the people are free under national standard. Under the United States Republic constitutional system of government, and upon the individuality and intelligence of the citizen, the state does not claim to control one's conduct to others, leaving one to sole judge as to all affects oneself. But you have to be in your proper person to present yourself. Nobody can represent you. Moger versus Kansas 123 US 623-659-60. Number 9. Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved. There they go. Constitution are involved. There can be no rule making or legislation which would abrogate them. Miranda versus Arizona 384 US 436125. See what I'm saying? So they cannot come with these legal codes and statutes to override the Constitution. So what did they have to do? They needed you to be out of your proper person status so that they can use those legal codes and statutes, because as long as you're legal property, they can use legal codes and statutes. But when you're a national, the law applies to you, and that is the Constitution and treaties. The claim and exercise of constitutional rights cannot be converted into a crime, which is what they keep doing when they call you Negro, black, and colored, and you keep consenting. Miller versus 230 F2 486 489. Number 11, my favorite. For a crime to exist, there must be a injured party, corpus delicti, which means a party that somebody can see. An injured party that somebody can physically see. There can be no sanction or penalty imposed on one because of this constitutional right. Shear versus Cullen 481 F 945. And I'm going to stop right there. Matter of fact, no, I'm going to read the last two. If any tribunal court finds absent of proof of jurisdiction over a person and subject matter, which first, the jurisdiction is the first thing that is established, your status. This is where jurisdiction, the distinction between the two countries or the nation and the corporation lies. Then once the jurisdiction is established, which is the status, you might not even have to go into the subject matter, because that's diversity of citizenship. And they might not have you in the right tribunal, which is the Supreme Court. And the subject matter, the case must be dismissed. Louisville versus Moti 2111 US 14929S CT 42. The accuser bears the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. See what I'm saying? The lack of federal jurisdiction cannot be waived or overcome by agreement of parties. Griffin versus Matthews 310 F Supra 341342 1969. And the want of jurisdiction may not be secured by consent of parties. Industrial Addition Association versus CIR 323 US 310 313, which means that they cannot make you waive any rights. The feds or anybody can't make you waive any constitutional rights. This is why you don't waive your rights. When you hire their lawyer or attorney, you just waived your rights. When you go in there as Negro, black, and colored, or Smith, Jones, and Johnson, you just waived your rights. So I'm going to touch on one of the chapters in the Quran, and I'm going to close out with some love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and give y'all some of these good old metaphysics. I'm going to go into the chapter. This is chapter 7. Jesus teaches the common people who have common sense, metaphysical, at a spring meaning springing forth life, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. This is why spring is the first season, and and March is the first month during spring, because life is springing forth at that point. In silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring, which is him going through life. It was a holy day, a Friday, which is today, Islam, and can't make it up. And many people of the servant caste system, servitude, who was the people under the caste system, who was paying the blackmail to the Moors, okay, were near the place. And Jesus saw the hard drawn lines of toil on every brow, in every hand. There was no look of joy on any face. Not one of all the group could think of but anything but toil. And Jesus spoke to one and said, "Why are you all so sad? Have you no happiness in life?" The man replied, "We scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil you to live." Ain't that what we say? Man, we just working to live. We trying to survive and hope for nothing but work. You feel me? Shit, I just hope I can just keep getting a paycheck, right? I just hope to survive. Hope to see my children survive, right? When you're supposed to be living. And bless the day when we can cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha's city of the dead, which is heaven. You see what I'm saying? Which is heaven. Buddha of enlightenment. Buddha means peace. So they're talking about being that state of peace, rest in peace. Okay. And it says, toil should not make a person sad. Men should be the happiest when they toil. When hope and love are a back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace. And this is what? Heaven. When you got that peace of mind, but the only way you can get it is knowing who you are. Because then all your rights and everything, substantive birthrights, will be restored. And you won't be poor. You won't have to work a 9 to 5. Do you know? I mean, we'll have to work, but we'll be working for ourselves. And the finance will be all ours, the real finance, the gold and silver, where our families will be able to pass down generational wealth 4 and 5 generations from now, like we used to. And it says, do you not know that such a heaven is for you? That man replied, of heaven we have heard, but then it is so far away, and we must live so many lives before we can reach that place. So they thinking they have to die to reach heaven. You see what I'm saying? They thinking they have to die to reach heaven. And Jesus said, my brother, man. But if Jesus is my God, my Lord and Savior, why is he talking to the people calling him his brother? Because he was one of us. He wasn't God. He wasn't the God. He was a God, just like all of us are. Ye are nothing but gods. We're made in God's images, gods and goddesses images. So I said, let us make them in our image. You're made in your mother's and father's image. My brother, man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of merits, of mets and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are the creators and we make our own. So when they're talking about man or the fallen angels, El, Bay, Day, Al, and Ali, Moorish titles, when man fell from heaven, When you fell from that peace of mind is when you start thinking that you can outdo what God created and start doing things on this earth that was against God, which is abominations. You dropped a bomb on a nation. Simple. The words is right there. You just have to study them. And it's all dealing with metaphysics. But why doesn't the people know that? Because these sellouts keep lying. And it says, now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. As Moors keep telling our people, just open up the windows of your heart, and like a flood of light, the light bearers, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy, and toil will be no cruel task. Why? Because we'll all be those businesses of ours. Instead of it being a black business, it'll be Moorish owned business. And then they will thrive because nobody will be able to usurp them, because they'll be under our substantive birthright, which is God-given, can't be taken away. The people were amazed and gathered closer to hear the strange young master at a fruition speak. He was being it. This is why Jesus was like the things he was doing seems like miracles. No, he was doing stuff that other people were scared of, imploring him to tell them more about the Father God Allah and the heaven that man can make on earth, about the boundless joys. And Jesus spoke a parable and said, a certain man possessed a field. The soil was hard and poor, just like our lives. Our lives are hard and poor. The constant toil, constant work, by constant toil, by constant work, he scarcely could provide enough food to keep his family from want. Ain't that what we seeing today? One day, a miner, a mastermind, a person using a mind, who could see beneath the soil, who can see past the matrix and passing on his way, saw this poor man in his unfruitful field. See, fruitful, not in fruition. He was still in a belief mind state. He called the weary toiler and he said, my brother, know, which is faith, you not that just below the surface, your barren field, rich treasures lie concealed. You plow, which meaning, do you not know that you full of riches? Do you not know that you come from the richest people on the planet, not the poorest? And that you can have the things that you want and need without begging these people or working under their system? You plow and sow and reap what you sow in a scanty way. And day by day, you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones, which is you. The wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground. So it's not what you're seeing, that gold and silver or the fiat, which y'all call paper dollar, is you. But if you will dig away the rocky soil, Morocco soil, and delve down deep into the earth, you need no longer till the soil for naught, which means that you working for nothing. We're working for nothing, because fiat is debt notes. That's not money. The man believed, the miner surely knows, not believe, the miner surely knows, which is faith, and I will find the treasures hidden in my field, which is your life. And then he dug away the rocky soil and dug down deep into the earth, which is you. This is why you have a birth, because you come from the earth, your mother earth. He found a mine of gold. See, you a gold mine? Okay. And Jesus said, the sons of men are toiling hard on desert plains, which is Morocco, and burning sands, which is Hikupta, and rocky soils, are doing what their fathers did, not dreaming that they can do aught else. See what I'm saying? This is why we seen our grandparents and so on sell out. Not even sell out, convert. And see how they came up with, they died with nothing, wasn't able to pass us down nothing. And when you thinking them leaving you 60K or 100K is something, it's not, because it's debt. This is why you can't pass it down and do nothing with it, but spend it on some trinkets that's gonna eventually fade away. And Jesus said, the sons of men are toiling on hard desert plains and burning sands and rocky soils, and doing what their fathers did, not dreaming they can do all else. Behold, a master comes. See, this is somebody in fruition, and tells them of hidden wealth that underneath the rocky soil of carnal things of lower self are treasures that no man can count, because the blessings are abundance when you know who you are. When your mind, nobody can control your mind but you. That in the heart the richest gems abound. See? You got a heart of gold? You a gold mine? Okay. That he who wills may open the door and find them all. And then the people said, make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart. And Jesus opened up the way, and the toilers saw another side of what? Life, and toil became a joy. Because once they figured out who they were, and you realize you're the master of your own faith, you control your destiny. Nobody else can control your life but you. But the only reason these people being able to be in control of the lives of these people today is because they given up their birthrights. As Moors keep telling them, when you seeing our fellow Moorish brothers come from the other nations and can come over here and set up businesses that last 20 and 30 years, and they're not paying all these taxes like the Asiatics that call themselves black are, is because they're not coming into here opening business as brown people, as yellow people, as orange people. They're coming opening an Arabian store, an Italian restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, an African store, which they'll go into different nations, because African is not the nation, it's the continent that consists of many nations. So it might be Algerian store or an Egyptian store. You see what I'm saying? So I'll be coming back in a few weeks with some more documents, and we're going to the books again. And I just keep on trying to get through as many people as I can. But it all starts with the people. You got to be willing to want to study. You know what I'm saying? You got to be willing to want to take your brain out of the matrix. Islam. Allah is the father of the universe. Allah is the father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, and my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Assalamu alaikum. Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, Moors. Don't forget to study RV Bay Publications. You can find the books and other websites, khalifamedia.com. You can find all of the Moorish books on there, and different other literature, music, clothing as well. You know what I'm saying? And it's not no $100 like no Louis Vuitton and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because we're about helping our people, not ripping them off. And if you trying to get in contact with different Moors, like about nationality cards, RV Bay Publications and Khalifa Media is the two that you want, where you're not paying no 100 and all of that. You're not actually paying for the car, you're paying for the service that the Moors providing, the ink and the actual making of the car. And they're only charging you $30, $40, $50 at the most. You know what I'm saying? Instead of no 300, 400, 500 and all of this crazy stuff that dirty Moors, these dirt bags, have started to do. But I'm going to end it right here. So get your study on, Moors. Study, study, study. Shalom and Habu. Peace and love.